Welcome, Giants. This is Alex McClintock, your guide to unlocking your inner giant on the I Am Giant podcast. Dive into a world where we share life experiences and learn wisdom to empower you on your journey. Join me and incredible guests from diverse backgrounds who've transcended survival to thrive. Discover daily habits that enhance your mental and physical well-being, drawing inspiration from those who have conquered their challenges. Get ready to stand on the shoulders of giants and pave your own path towards a more fulfilling life. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. In today's episode, I'm honoured to be joined by a couple of guys that I've known for a few years now through the work I've done with Andy's Man Club, and two guys that actually attended the groups to get help and support for themselves and gone on to become facilitators and now work colleagues and friends. Got to know the two guys quite well up and down to the office and just doing different things across the country with them. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Kenny and Mark, who helped me to get guys through the door in ANDYSMANCLUB Scotland. So it's a cracking conversation and we'll just get straight into it. Thanks for listening. It was actually really good to film that. So, right, take two, lads. I'll put this bit in because then we can put a wee funny clip on social media. So this is the second time we sat down with the boys for ANDYSMAN Club. So we'll give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, all right, boys, welcome to I Am Giant. Thanks for joining me for the second time today to record this episode for my podcast. And we're just here to talk about all things that we've been involved in through Andy's Man Club. And I just want to give you that wee bit of space to explain to the listeners what it is Andy's Man Club's all about, but also to tell them a wee bit about your own struggles with mental health and stuff that you've obviously led you to the door of Andy's Man Club, and we can take it from there. So I'll let you introduce yourselves, and like in the last episode, we'll go age first and go for the oldest one. So that'll be you, Mark. So you just want to tell us a quick intro about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how old you are, mate.
Hi, so my name is Mark. I am not the oldest, but they think I am. I'm 46 years old. I'm from Dundee, and I got involved with Andy's Man Club about 3.5 years ago. After my last attempt on my life. If it wasn't for Andy's Man Club, I probably wouldn't be here sitting talking to you today. So, yeah, it's me.
Sorry, mate. Luis can be deceiving, eh? So we'll pass to the youngest member of the team, and that's Kenny.
And I am the youngest. So, yeah, I'm Kenny Armour, and I'm from Kirkcaldy in Fife, and I am 33 years old, so I'm just a young pup. Having suffered with anxiety, depression for many years, and just kind of feeling that I was alone and kind of brought up in that industry of men don't talk. So, come involved with Andy's Man Club in 2021 when it finally took the step to walk through the door of Andy's Man Club, which has changed my life around completely. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I'm sitting here today.
So the beauty about this, as much as we work together, and we've been working together for over a year and a bit now, almost a year and a half, I was kind of there at the start of both of your journeys with Andy's Man Club, and I remember, obviously we'll go further back because Mark's been coming a wee bit longer than Kenny, and that first night walking to the Dundee venue, it was no long after the lockdown had finished and we started back face to face, and I was just kind of introduced to Mark Inglis, and as keen as mustard, as they say, and at first I thought, wow, this guy's a belter, but his heart was in the right place. He was passionate about what he was doing and what Andy's Man Club were doing, and everything you were doing with, I think you were working with Shelter and street soccer and all these places as well. So, and you just had Andy's running through your veins for day dot that I first met you. Do you want to explain a wee bit how you got involved and how after that conversation you were helping out facilitating and whatnot?
Yeah, well, I remember that night very well, Alex. We come in, the big guy. Who's the fuck's he? And then just helping out in general, just put the chairs out, stuff like that. Started up doing that. Then I got asked to be a facilitator, which blew me away, to be fair. I was made up with that. And like you say, I feel like I've got Andy's running through my veins. I then moved on to harass Alex until we got a second venue in Dundee, and I did harass him. I was quite on it about it, mate. We got the second venue up at street soccer, with 2 and a bit years there was awesome. But then going from where I was as a facilitator to then becoming part of the team, I remember being at Westfest with you, Alec, and you're mentioning to me about a job coming up, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I know there's a job coming up, and maybe you should look into it. I was like, yeah, cool. And you actually had to spell out for me, Mark, there's a job coming up, go for it. And I'm like, right, okay. And like I said, I went for that interview, and it was the most surreal thing in my life, sitting outside that Premier Inn on a summer's day on a garden chair, answering 5 questions to yourself, Luke, Elaine, and Sabrina. It was just weird, and that was me starting on my journey, getting a job here and being part of this amazing team.
Typical AMC, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Kenny, I was there the first night. Obviously, we opened the Kirkcaldy branch a couple of years ago now as well. So, and we Kenneth walked up because you were pals with Big Kev. So it was like, and we call him Big Kev, but he's still wee Kev to me. So tell us about that first night, mate.
Aye, Big Kev's still a foot taller than me, so it's easy. He's always Big Kev to me. But yeah, no, very similar. I'd known all about Andy's Man Club. Again, just like everyone else, it's the struggle to get through the door is always hard. And finally took that step to walk through. Luckily enough, Kirkcaldy's first night, so it was that wee bit easier that everyone else in that walking through that door was going to be in the same position as me, as not really knowing what the club is all about. And yeah, just by a simple message from Kev saying, come along, I'll be there, made a difference to me. And obviously turned up to Starts Park, a place that I know familiar with and I used to go to a lot, but still that nervous going past the venues 2 or 3 times during the day just to see where I was going, even though I know it off by heart. And walking through the doors was one of the ones that I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't really planning on speaking and different things, but yeah, quite quickly changed my life around. And as Mark says, the rest has kind of been a wee bit of history, and we've went on to now work for the charity, which, as you say, walking through the doors that first night, you'd never imagine it. Especially me, when I look back now, as a broken man that night, basically.
Yeah. And as Matt says, a unique experience getting interviewed for Andy's Man Club, wasn't it? So I think the day before, myself and Luke had been up Ben Nevis at stupid o'clock in the afternoon to get back down at even stupider o'clock at night, and then went swimming at Glencoe. And on our way, was trying to get somewhere to hold interviews, and there was nowhere we could find in Perth without sitting in a coffee shop. But it was like 30 odd degrees outside, so we sat outside the car park in the Premier Inn with a camping chair at the back of his van, which didn't last the full shift. I think it gave in just before one of the other interviewees sat on it and buckled it. So fortunately it was after you two had managed to sit in it. So a unique experience, just like Andy's Man Club. But apart from some of the off the cuff stuff that we do with AMC, the process on a Monday night is the same format across the country. So you maybe explain that, and we'll go to Mark, and you can maybe tell us what it's like, first of all, for that guy walking up to the front door for the first time, and how we make it a wee bit easier for him to walk through the door, and then the first 3 questions.
So first of all, when you're walking to the door at Andy's Man Club, you're going to see somebody wearing something like this. You'll always have a guy standing outside just to welcome someone in and show them the way, so that you're not going through that door alone. And again, it's a door as Kenny said, you're very unsure of as you go through the door. You get into the room, and the format of the meeting is we'll sit in a circle, and we'll have 5 questions. The first 3 stay the same every single week. And the first question is, how's your week been? And I'll give you my answer. My first ever meeting was shite. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be on the planet. I didn't want to be any of that. Just like, and the thing is, it wasn't like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was just how I felt. That was the generalisation of the week. And you go around the room, and everybody gives their answer. Some having good weeks, some having bad weeks. But they'll give you a little bit of an explanation why, and then they'll move on to the next person passing the ball. And there's always the option not to talk. You just pass the ball right on. Question 2, 1 positive from your week. And sometimes when you're especially coming through the door for the first night, you don't know, you don't have a positive because you're going through it, because you've got to a point in your life where you're needing help. I didn't have a positive when I walked through that door, and every guy in that room said to me, I don't have a positive. And I'm like, you're here. you've walked through that door. That's your positive. And I was like, wow, amazing. Question 3, it's this is quite a heavy question, this, or it can be anything I got off your chest. And this could be absolutely anything from being cut up in the car park to trauma from childhood or whatever it was, which was mine. Talked about my own childhood trauma and stuff like that. And that's where I opened my eyes, Andy's Man Club. I think that very first night, opened my eyes and listening to the guys' answers. Men being open, honest, non-judgmental, no egos, no belittling, just being vulnerable. Men being vulnerable with one another. I'm not going to lie to you, I was crying my first night Andy's Man Club because I'd lifted a weight off my shoulders of what I'd been burdened with for the last 30 years. And it was an absolute amazing feeling, but at the same time I was bawling my eyes out. So that's where you get up to, then we'll have a wee break, and I'll stop there.
I think that's the power, the way you hear other men sharing stuff, and it's certainly for me, the first time I walked through the door, my feelings and my thoughts and everything that was going through my head were validated because someone else was talking about the same stuff that I was going through, and totally. It just went, wow, it's not just me. And I think as men, we always think that we're the only ones going through what we're going through, and no one else would understand. And if I tell my pals, they're just going to take the piss out of me, so we bottle it up, and sometimes it can make it worse. So I think that's the beauty of question 3, getting that shit out, and then we stop for a break and a brew, and that's where the power happens, isn't it? And I've always said that the noise that's created from all these guys, sometimes not knowing who they are, they've walked into a room for the first time, and now they're standing conversing with guys like they've known each other for donkey's years, talking about some of the shit that they've gone through, but also helping each other through life, and it's that power that's, I think, is the special bit of Andy's Man Club. Would you agree?
Totally.
And then we get back together for another 2 questions, which is the good shit, which programs the new beliefs and the new thoughts and feelings of what you're going to do, and maybe put positive thoughts into your head. Kenny, would you want to tell us what 4 and 5 are
yeah, so and just as you were saying with the break as well, for a lot of boys walking through the door for the first night, it's probably not until the break that they're realising how powerful Andy's Man Club is, and they'll probably not share between 1 and 3. So questions 4 and 5 are become sometimes the most powerful bit of that night, is because that's the first time they've shared, and I've seen that plenty of times. So yeah, questions 4 and 5, they change every week, and they're really there to lift the mood, to get you thinking on the spot, but lift the mood, which is the most important bit. Obviously, as Mark's here, Mark's saying on question 3, he's saying he was upset and crying for his first night, but then come question 4 and 5, you could be laughing and you can be crying for the different reasons. And yeah, they're really, as Alex says as well, they're the good questions, the good shit, just to lift that mood. So questions 4, 5, they change every week. Question 4 is really just to get you thinking on the spot, and basically a positive question. And then question 5 is just a quick fire, just to get you thinking really on the spot. And these can be really quick fire because especially by the come the time of the night as well. But yeah, they're just as important as questions 1 to 3 in my eyes, if not more important, because we're more relaxed, we're open and honest in the ones as well, which are the powerful ones.
And it helps put the guy back out into the community in a better frame of mind, doesn't it? He's maybe walked in there feeling really shit, feeling really low, and not nowhere to go, potentially feeling really suicidal. Do you know what I mean? Off to kill himself, and then he's going through all these questions, and we're having a laugh and a joke, and it just lightens up the mood, doesn't it? So you all know my favourite one involves the toilet paper, and I talk about it every presentation. Which way do you put the toilet roll on the toilet holder, over or under? It's caused chaos in my house over the years, but I've conditioned the wife and the bairn to put it on the right way. And I know that some of you quite enjoyed that, and we've had the discussion in the first take of this that Kenny and Matt both agree with me that it's got to be over, like a beard on a toilet roll. So what are your standout questions on 5, Mark?
So I thought about this, and I was going to say what I said the last time, but there was one that really sticks in my head because of the varied answers it got, and it's what kind of pie would you eat for the rest of your life? And so you're sitting in a room of 15, 20 guys. Yeah, you can guess what's coming up. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I was just sitting there absolutely, from the guys that were answering the questions in that way, I was absolutely chin bounced. I was like, wow, I didn't expect you to say that. But it made that humour came out in everyone, and that was what that question's meant to generate, that laugh, that giggle, Like Kenny says, it's thought provoking but also funny. And you can cry in Andy's meeting, and you also can laugh your arse off. And
I don't like
I've done
food
both.
questions. Honestly, I don't, because you're sitting there at 9:05. You've got an hour and a half to drive home, and you're absolutely starving because everyone's been talking about food for the last 20 minutes. So, Kenny, what's your standout?
It's similar to that because I've got another take, because obviously take two, so I've got another one. But the best one for me is your guilty pleasure song. I absolutely love it because, as you say, we're sitting in a group of men. Some of them big bald builders that's been on the work sites for years, but they're coming out with a guilty pleasure song as S Club 7, and as I say, it's a non-judgmental group, so whatever goes. But it's some of the answers. It's a great laugh. And
So what's your? We can't share some of these answers. So what's your answer, Kenny?
But
He's S Club,
know,
isn't
to
he?
be honest, nah, anything Westlife, to be honest, for me. I quite like a bit of Westlife, and it goes back to my brother used to buy me a Westlife CD for my birthday every year. I hated him at the time, but he used to buy me a CD every year. And I ended up with, I think, 15 CDs of Westlife. So, yeah. But and the other question, you're saying you don't like food questions, but what's your favourite sandwich filler? And we had the room in absolute stitches with some of the answers with that. I'm very basic. I just like basic food, but some of the answers you were getting, like
Sugar
pickle
PC?
and it was just some weird ones, and really questionable when it comes to non-judgmental in that question, because it was just such a laugh, and to have that in the room.
So Kenny's was Westlife, Mark. What's yours?
I'm scared to say this because
if we don't talk about it, people are going to comment on the podcast.
So,
what's your
I've been known to leave Barbie Girl on when it plays, because it's quite a tune that just rings in my head and I like it.
I always thought that was your ringtone as well.
I've got a couple. One of them is "This Is Me" for The Greatest Showman. Just every time it comes on, I've got to sing it at the top of my lungs. And it's one of these. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. It can make you feel brilliant. But it just depends on your mood. And the other one's Starship, Nicki Minaj. But I'll leave the reasons behind that for another day. So that used to be my ringtone for the band. So we'll leave it at that. So hopefully the guys are leaving in a better frame of mind when they walk through the door. But the support doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it continues on throughout the week, and that's a powerful bit as well. It's not just a Monday night. As much as Andy's Man Club's based around the Monday night, the support follows on. So obviously every group has a closed Facebook group, which it's another safe space for people to open up and share on if they're struggling throughout the week, or if they're having a good day as well. I've seen plenty of posts that somebody's got a new job and they're raving about it, and it's brilliant to see that. And there's also, every group's slightly different, and every group is completely different, but there's also events that the facilitators or the users of the group organise throughout the week as well. And a prime example is we were out last night for the Kirkcaldy group and took part in a quiz night. Though there was 8 of us and we actually come last in the quiz, we end up winning £416 in the raffle after it. So there's wee bonuses to it, even though you are coming last. But the friendships that are bonded there is, as I say, even me not being at that club every week, I can still make a phone call and I go out that Thursday night, and we've got that friendships which you never had before, which is the best bit about it.
Yeah, I think that's massive, and I know obviously we've become good friends because of working together and socialising with each other and that, and it's brilliant. But when you see that with the guys walking through the door, and some of my best mates now, I've walked through the door at Andy's Man Club and go for coffee with them all the time. And if any of them reach out and shout, we're there to help them, whether it's moving house, doing their garden. I've had boys put decking in the back garden and that. And obviously, Mark, you've got quite a few pals through the bike club and going ice hockey and stuff like that as well. So it does become a social network, doesn't it?
And that's it. There's events that we get invited along to, but a great example is the ice hockey. The guys from all over Scotland come to that, and everybody gets together and they're just it's enjoying that sport, but it's also enjoying the company of the people you're with. We've got guys that go and play pool on a Tuesday, and like Kenny was saying as well, with the events, we do info tables and stuff like that, and the guys come along and they're happy to come along and get involved in that. And we're all going to do a firework very soon as well. So fucking don't want to burn my feet.
You better cut your toenails as well, mate, just in case they catch on fire. But no, and it's things like that certainly what I've found just being involved in Andy's Man Club, it opens me up to more things, because I'm more open to possibilities and doing stuff. And obviously we've done a firework before, Kenny's done it as well, and we're doing one again in a few weeks for Andy's Man Club, which is absolutely brilliant, on the back of a TV documentary highlighting some of the support in Scotland for Men's Mental Health Day. So that's going to be massive as well. So on that, there's still spaces. So if you're listening to this and it's not the 16th of March, there's spaces available for the fireworks. So check out our website and you can maybe get one of the last spaces that are going and join us on the firework. The three of us are doing it, and as Kenny will agree, it's an empowering event. They teach you about mindset and mind over matter, and it's phenomenal. And you have to come up with a mantra. And I remember coming up with this powerful mantra the first time I done it, Kenny, and I just went out the window, because as soon as I went to step on the coals, I just went fuck, 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 fuck. And there's actually a picture of me, and you can tell what I'm saying, and my mum's just like, oh no. So I apologise, Mum, but it's something it changed my life. Do you know what I mean? So as has Andy's Man Club, and I guess it brings us on to the next bit. It's like Andy's Man Club's a massive part of my recovery, and it has been for a number of years, nearly 7 years I've been going to AMC. But it's allowed me to discover other things, and not just by me going out and discovering them, but by standing and listening to guys talking about things. So I mean, like we talked about the break, how people share coping strategies and that, and I think that's important. It's like I've learned to do so many things just by talking to other men within Andy's Man Club. Now do obviously cold water, meditation, journaling, clean diet, all these things. So is there something that you would like to put in your toolbox, or is there something that's already been put in your toolbox, boys, that you've learned from attending Andy's Man Club? But as much as talking is obviously the big massive one that we all use to stay mentally well, but is there something else that you've maybe adopted for someone else?
There's something I've adopted for you, Alex, is podcasts, listening to them. It wasn't something I ever did before, but the journeys when we were heading down to head office, or coming back up, chucking a podcast on, gets me to shut up for a bit as well. And no, just sitting listening to a lot of them now, and taking on board what some of the things they're saying, and giving you tips and if you want life hacks to just get through certain things. And it's never something I've done before in the past. But I'll continue to do it now. And
it's good, because the first couple of journeys you just snored in the back seat, mate. At least you're staying awake now, isn't it? It's Kenny's turn to sleep. Kenny, what about you? Is there anything that you've learned from coming to Andy's Man Club, apart from talking, that you use in your toolbox on a regular basis?
There's been 3 or 4, and it's through different things. Obviously, getting out for a walk is one of the biggest ones for me. It's something that I previously done, but it fell away from me quite quickly as well. Just when you're feeling low, you don't want to go outside, but just getting out for that walk is massive for me. So being outside, it doesn't even need to be for a walk. It could just be sitting in the back garden. Obviously, cold water therapy, that is something that I don't do enough of, I know, and I admit that, but it's something that helps me when we do it. Obviously, the 3 of us done that before Christmas, and it's just such an amazing.
That was more to do with the sauna and the jacuzzi, that bit, rather than the cold water. So, just for a bit of context, pre-Christmas we went to a spa up north, and it's basically on the side of Loch Earn, and there's a slide into the cold water up at Taymouth, and it was the first time Mark had ever done anything like that at all. And me and Kenny had to go in first, just in case he took a mad panic attack and drowned. So we'd been warned by his missus Shirley to bring him back. So the look of terror on his face as he came down the slide the first time was an absolute picture. But unfortunately, we didn't get one. So that's something that we'll enjoy ourselves, Kenny.
And again, it's just such a great buzz you're getting off going into that cold water. Then it's something that just keeps you going. And as I say, it's something that I keep pushing to do myself, but it's hard to just try and get that into that regular occurrence. But I know that it does make a difference. And as I say, I've got a lot of things that I go to. My pets, even just being outside is a big one for me. Just a bit of DIY as well. Obviously, I was always hands-on. So going back into doing bits like that, not that I do DIY around the house anymore, because I refuse to do it, but building stuff for myself, or even my new office I've just redone, and different things like that. It's all that bit of therapy. It's just taking my mind away from day-to-day life as well, which is a big thing. And yeah, just
It looks good. You wouldn't think that was a Wendy house, would you?
It's nice. I've seen it. It's decent.
Made it small enough that you don't fit in it. That's for sure.
I know. I'll need to go on my knees to get through the door. But no, it is, and I think it's important. Like I know, certainly from my personal experience, some of the things that I've gone on to do because of Andy's Man Club and challenging myself, I would never have done before. I would never have stood up in front of an audience and talked about what I'd gone through. I wouldn't have done a bungee jump. Wouldn't have jumped out of a plane. I wouldn't have walked on fire. All these things that we've done and continue to do because we've been given that. I suppose that release from talking about our own shit, we can go out and own what we need to do. And we've set ourselves a couple of challenges for this year, and we've obviously already talked about the firewalk. I've done a couple of individual ones, but we've signed up to the Andy's Man Club half marathon in July. Me and Kenny, we're trying to convince Mark to do it, but he's no for it. Like.
I'll help out.
He keeps saying he's too old, but then he tries to tell us he's not as old as you think he is. So he's coming down to help, so we'll be there. So July, Delamere Forest, there's an Andy's Man Club running event. So I think there's a fun run, 10k, 5k, and obviously the big half marathon. So Kenny, why did you sign up for the half marathon, mate?
Don't know. I'm still looking for that answer, to be honest with you. It was actually just before Christmas. I had a few days off work and I was struggling, and I thought that was a good idea at the time. But yeah, mentally, over the last few years, mentally, I've improved myself, and I've got to the position that I am in mentally in a very good place. And obviously, I still have my wee bits here and struggles here, but I am in a very good place. Physical side is a completely different story, and we laughed about this earlier, but we laughed last night as well when I sent you a picture of me 6 years ago. And
wow,
the scary fact was it was 6 years ago, and I only had 6% body fat, so I was very skinny at the time, and I was in a good shape. But as I say, now 6 years on, I'm 6 stone heavier, and it's time that now I've got my mental state perfect, or I wouldn't say perfect, but in a good place. It's time to start challenging myself that wee bit extra and get the physical state done. So yeah, the Delamere Forest is. It seemed quite far away because it was last year when I booked it, and now we're into February. And
closer and closer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I've still not started training, so it's one of the ones that's going to be. I need to get my finger out, but it's that motivation's there to better myself. And as I say, it's the training has started because I'm eating healthier, and I've cut back. We're talking and laughing. I've cut back on fizzy juice, which I was drinking 4 litres a day. So I've cut back on that, and it's made a difference straight away this week. I'm feeling a bit. I'm not feeling a bit better. I'm feeling a lot better, and the weight's starting to slowly come off me, but that will take time as well.
We talked about that at our meeting the other day. Even just that you're not feeling bloated and full of gas and stuff that when you're not drinking that fizzy poppy. So it's about, like we said earlier, it's about what you put in. And that's not just food. It's about, like Mark talking about podcasts and reading books and stuff like that. It's about what we put in. So it all helps. So the caveat to the Forest half marathon is you've got an automatic entry into the Great North Run, like myself, for Andy's Man Club, which we'll be raising money for as well. So we've definitely not convinced Mark to do that. So that's the ultimate goal. So I suppose it's about putting smaller goals in place to get there. Mark, is there any personal goals that you're looking to achieve this year?
Personally, got to lose a bit of weight. I've been doing the gym, starting the gym 2 days a week from last October, I think it was, November, I'm sure. And I've been really good in the fact that I've been following through Mondays and Thursdays, and even doing a vlog, which I've never knew what a vlog was until somebody says, do a vlog. Well, okay, what's that? But it's gave me confidence to actually think about doing a run or get involved that way. Whereas I would never have done it before, ever. It would never have been on the list of things that, I'm going to do a run, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to... So it's created a routine there for me. And that was on the back of something Andy's Man Club was at. So that gave me a bit of perspective there that I know I can do it. It's just continuing to strive that way. Once I'm happy and contented doing 2 days a week, go 3 days a week and continue on. And it's moving forward, isn't it?
And you've seen a massive change in you since you started going to the gym, and you've made that commitment to go to the gym as well, which is good. And like everyone, if you make a commitment to something, you get pissed off when you miss it.
Yes.
and you
Yes.
see that as well. So no, it's good. And you should be proud of what you've both achieved. I mean, for where you've both been in the short time that I've known you, it's just incredible. And I was talking about it at one of my other meetings that I go to last night, and it's that when you see people's journeys, you see them walking through the door that first time, and they are broken, they are lost, they don't know where to go, and you see the progression and guys getting better and want to talk to other people and help other people, and that's what I said to you when the two of you got the jobs. It was like you were already doing it. Do you know what I mean? You were already head and shoulders above other people, but whether it's on social media or going out to events or arranging things, if you get asked to do it, and it's one of these things with Andy's Man Club, people identify themselves to take on that next responsibility, whether it's facilitators or the guy in charge of the brew table or whatever it is. I mean, there's important jobs to do as well, so I think it's important. So in terms of Andy's Man Club, what are you hoping to go? We've obviously sitting at almost 40 clubs in Scotland, got 175 in the UK, and almost 4,500 men a year walking through the door. I think we had 681 across Scotland the other night. Kenny was adding them up on his fingers and toes and his abacus and that, and making sure the numbers are right, so we could tell the boys how many walk through the door, which is always good. So what are your goals for Andy's Man Club moving forward for the rest of the year?
For me, it's just continue growing that. As you say, 681 through the doors of Andy's Man Club in Scotland was phenomenal. That's through the doors, so we've still got online on top of that, which is adding another probably 10 to 15 boys in Scotland. But just growing it as much as we can. I kind of set a goal at the beginning of the year of ideally hitting a club a month to open. We're currently sitting in February. I'm just launched tonight. Well, when we're recording this, there'll be a second club getting launched of the year, so that's I'm on target. Then I've got another one next week, so yeah, both of them opening in March. So there's me hitting the 3 clubs, which is hitting the targets. But that 3 clubs is hopefully giving more people that opportunity to walk through and feel how I felt, which is the most important bit. And by us opening the doors and opening more clubs is hopefully going to give us more staff and give people that opportunity to maybe work for the charity, as you say, something that we all are privileged to do, and it's a complete honour to be part of it as a volunteer, but to be part of it as a paid member of staff is phenomenal. So hopefully that is the aim, is to get more staff up in Scotland and grow it and give every other man that opportunity to feel how we have felt and other people feel as well, and to grow it that way is definitely up there for it.
Definitely, mate. Mark?
100% echo what Kenny's just said there. My goal is to grow Andy's Man Club organically as possible in the northeast of Scotland. It's quite a large area that I cover, as we all do. We've all got quite big areas, but there's the sparsest area for clubs is the northeast. We've not got a lot. We've got, I think, 6, and it's growing that as we go. I've got leads in loads of different places. It's just trying to get them to fruition, making sure we've got the bodies to then open these clubs. We don't want to force anything. We want to make sure that every man in I think, what was it, 1,300 clubs we're trying to build for across the UK. It's making sure that there is an Andy's Man Club close to someone that needs it, that gets that same care that we all got as we walk through that door.
I think that's one of the things in it. We want to make it as accessible as possible, whether that's face-to-face or online. We want to make it easy for that man to walk through the door. And if we can get one within 30 minutes, every man in the UK, that'll be some achievement. So we've got a long way to go. I think we've got to this stage a lot quicker than we thought we would as an organisation. And certainly when I got involved, I genuinely thought that was just going to be that one club in Perth that I'd be involved in, and then got a phone call and asked to open one in Dundee and then Dunfermline, and it's just kept growing from there. So to see the growth in the charity from that first couple of weeks sitting at Perth, we know and walks through the door is absolutely massive. So to get 600 odd guys, nearly 700 guys walking through the door every week in Scotland is just, it blows me away every time I think about it or talk about it. And we go into other presentations. It's mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. And
it's the impact.
It's
the impact on you mentioned 700 men. It's the impact on their families and friends, and that's the huge bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? It's countless on top of that 700. How many that's impacting?
Well, that's they reckon that a suicide impacts 136 people. So if we can have the reverse effect, that's something else. So 681 times 136 is a massive amount of people that's
I've not got enough
impacting that
fingers.
ripple effect in it. So we've not got enough toes to work that one out, Kenny. So we'll leave that for the listeners to stick on their calculator. But I think it's important to highlight that we all still go to Andy's Man Club for our own mental wellness, don't we? I know I do. I got a lot of shit off my chest on Monday night when I went to visit Glen Eagles, and I think that's important and we remind our facilitators all the time that they're there for them. At the end of the day, they all walk through the door for the same. We all walk through the door because we needed to talk and get shit off our chest, and I think that's important. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%. I mean, if I didn't have a Monday night, especially recently, I've been going through quite a bit with members of my family passing away. My gran just recently. There's a lot of stuff going on in our own personal lives that now, if I didn't have Andy's Man Club, that would bottle up and bottle up and bottle up. I know on a Monday night I can go in there and I can go and bitch and moan and be pissed off and get all that off my chest, so that I'm not taking it to work or taking it to the home life. So it is a safe space to go along and just get that shit out. And like you say, a lot of guys are getting that. There's a space for them to do that, and we, as users of the group, and we are first and foremost users of the group, it shows to the other guys in the group that we are still using that as our daily or our weekly routine. We're not any different. It's the best thing about Andy's Man Club is it levels the playing field. Everybody walks through that door is on the same level, whether you're whatever your job is outside, whatever you do for a living, it doesn't matter. You come in and you're the same level as everybody else in that room.
And we are, as you say, we free work for the charity, but we still go through our own struggles, and we're quite lucky. We've got us three we've got a good working relationship, and the things that obviously as a worker for the charity, the things we can't share on a Monday, and we need to help and you get off our chest, we can do that between us as staff as well, which is the most important bit. But yeah, Monday nights it's hugely important for me, and I still need it every week when we have the bank holidays. Yeah, I enjoy having that little bit of time with my family, but I miss having that the banter and just seeing the same boys.
Yeah.
Quite often we'll go back to the original clubs that we started with, just to have that bond with the boys and just see that friendship. It's not just getting out on a Monday night and sharing, it's also getting the friendship, and the social side is huge for me as well.
And I think it's important as well to emphasise that we don't just talk on a Monday night. Do you know what I mean? We check in most days as staff and as mates and make sure everyone's all right, especially when we're going through the shit we're going through. And obviously we Mark going through the loss that he's suffering at the minute. We were all checking in and make sure he's all right. And that's across the board. So that's not just us three or staff or facilitators. Guys across the board checking in on you because they know what's going on. And I think that's part of the reason that it works. We've got that brotherhood that guys do genuinely look after each other.
Yeah, 100%. And you're spot on there, Alec, especially we guys that I've gone to clubs with are checking in, especially just the recent time I've been through, just making sure that I'm okay, and you guys constantly making sure that I'm okay, and that I'm able to talk. I'm not bottling things up, and that's the difference from back then and now. That it's you're comfortable doing it now, you're comfortable talking, because Andy's Man Clubs gave you that space that you can talk, that you're now comfortable with your emotions, and being a guy you can be emotional, being a guy you can let out that whatever you want to call it, that emotion, or if you're sadness or whatever it is you're feeling, you can express that without fear of judgment, and you're no bottling that up. And even like you say, we do our check-ins weekly and whatnot, and a lot of the time it's just making sure we're all okay.
And that's important, isn't it? Because being a man's not bottling it up, being a man's talking about it and opening up and talking about emotions. And I think we've talked about this on numerous occasions. I was brought up, big boys don't cry, man up, shake it off. If you want something to cry about, son, I'll give you something to cry about. Do you know what I mean? Go and see your mum, you big girl's blouse. All these things that are wrong in society, and we need to talk about them. And I was talking about it to my coach this morning, and it's like I actually get pulled up. I remember I think he was a psychologist or a psychotherapist or something, and I don't know how he got in touch with me, but he phoned me on my work phone a couple of months ago, and he started going, "You keep talking about toxic masculinity this and toxic masculinity that. It doesn't exist." And I'm like, I don't think I've actually ever mentioned it. I don't use the phrase toxic masculinity, but you're talking about all the stigmas round about it. I'm going, well, big boys do cry. Do you know what I mean? We don't, if we man up, we go man down. So I never actually mentioned toxic masculinity because I'm quite open about it. I moisturise. So I mean, I look after myself. I want to talk about it, and I think that's the only way we're going to break down these stigmas is by talking about these things. And I think it's important. And you look at us, we're three different blokes with three different walks of life. Do you know what I mean? Talking about our emotions and on a public forum, which I think is only going to help you, and hopefully it'll help get guys through the door at Andy's Man Club as well.
I think that is exactly what you're saying. Is being open and honest is the biggest one. And the one bit I noticed is how far I had come as a person and how the world had come as well. Is obviously I've grew up in football teams and it's always been male oriented. Then I was in the oil and gas industry, which out of 1,000 people on the shop floor, there was one woman involved. So it's always been males, and you just get on with it. But last year, me and Alex sat at a Starbucks, and Alex physically sat there and was like, looked me in the eyes and was like, "How are you?" Wasn't nothing else, and I've never felt like that before. Being able just to sit there and say, "How are you?" and know that there is something there that's wrong with you. It's obviously something bothering you, but just to ask that question is, I think that's how far we've got. Obviously, there's a long way to go and break these stigmas down, but without having these honest conversations and without having the honest conversations with people, then we're never going to break that down. And it's just having the open, honest conversations are powerful.
I think somebody actually asking that question and meaning it as well, because we can have pleasantries on how are you, mate, blah blah blah, and guys, it's just a pleasantry sometimes. Whereas we actually, when we do say that, we mean it, and we mean it to every person we say it to when we say it. But in the past, we haven't. Because it was that big boys don't cry nonsense.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, and it's like, what's the first thing we do is we see someone, how you doing? I'm fine, mate. They don't want you go, do you know what? I'm fucking shit, mate. I'm really struggling. I'm going through this. I'm going through it. Because the guy asking doesn't want to hear it, and you certainly don't want to say it. So I think that's the difference that Andy's Man Club and other organisations like AMC doing great work for men are creating that change. We're getting people to open up and talk about it, and especially men. You know what I mean? We're still, I think we're still pretty shit at it. And we don't always tell the truth, do we? You know what I mean? And that's amongst this circle as well. And it's not until you actually just push. And what I do say to people is, ask them twice, but are you okay? And they'll generally tell you, and I think that's important to show empathy. Like Kenny says, look them in the eyes and show them that you actually give a fuck and you want to talk about it.
We had that conversation on Tuesday, didn't we? Our weekly meeting is our safeguarding meeting. The first one is a daily check-in, and Alex asked me, "How are you today?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm all good." And he was like, "Do you want to go in a bit more explaining that?" I was like, "Actually, I'm not." And I'd just come out of the house after falling out with my wife, and as soon as we're out, I just says, "Yeah, I'm fine." And Alex like, "Do you want to go into detail?" And it's true, we do keep it into ourselves.
You did, and then you went in and apologised to the wife.
And I did. I was in the wrong for it. So I did go in and apologise to the wife as well.
To you, mate. Well done.
And that's something I don't think any of us would admit before. And B, we probably wouldn't have recognised that in ourselves as well. So that shows you how much that you've evolved as a human being.
Exactly. Yeah. I was still right, to be fair, but I did apologise.
There's a way to phrase that. I'm not always right, but I'm not often wrong. It's slightly different. There's just a wee tweak there, mate. So we'll do it again. So one random fact that's maybe in your subconscious that you want to share with us, or a random fact about you. I know this kind of stumped you the last time, but I'm hoping Kenny comes up with the same one.
I'm still coming up with the same one because I know, because I only realise I'm coming up with it because Mark's got about 100 crisp packets around him just now because he's been checking. So, and this has come out of an Andy's Man Club meeting as well, as crisps only go out of date on a Saturday, and it's one of the things that blew my head off, and to this day still blows my head off. And I still actually check the dates, and I'll go back and check on it. My calendars and check if it is a Saturday. So blows my head off every time.
It's mad, that, isn't it? It's like it's random things that you learn as an adult, and you go, "How did I never know that?" Mark,
I went downstairs and checked. I've got my one from take one. Just the fact that I am quite a dab hand on a sewing machine and actually quite enjoy it. it's not something that I'd ever thought I'd do. I pick it up as a hobby during lockdown.
We'll be
was like,
getting these
hey.
shorts up for him. And in fact, and it's just when I was talking about that, like the things you learn, and I've learned quite a lot as an adult, specifically in the last 12 months, but it was when I got, not the car I've got now, but the one previously, I discovered that there's an arrow beside the petrol gauge, the wee pump. I'd never known that. Never knew that. I don't know how many times I'd hired a car and I've got my head out the window trying to see which side the petrol cap's on. And it tells you on the dashboard. Never knew that. That's stuff they should teach you when you learn to drive.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. That's brilliant.
Mad. So if you are listening to this and you want to put your random facts underneath or things you've just learned, just fire away and comment under the podcast. So we'll just try and close it off there. So what's the biggest takeaway that you hope the listeners will take from listening to us talking about not just Andy's Man Club, but us in general and men's mental health?
I think the main thing is you're not alone. There is places out there you can go and get the help and talk. Talk is the main thing. Please talk, because at the end of the day, one conversation could literally save a life.
Kenneth?
I think just looking at the three of us on screens, a big thing to take away is the fact that how we've developed as humans and as people, and we are still humans, that we do still have our own struggles and we go through our daily battles, but we're still in a position that we can talk about them and open up and be honest. And if people can open up, and it's not just the males out there, it's the females as well, if they can speak to each other and just have the conversations, the power of doing that and the power of talking to people, it is massive. It's life-changing for people, and we encourage everyone. And it's not just adults as well, it's the kids as well out there. I have the conversations with my daughters as how are you feeling, and have the open and honest conversations that they are, and it's part and parcel of our life now. We need to keep pushing it. As we said earlier, the only way we're going to break the stigmas down is if we keep talking about it and keep bringing it up to the top of the list to talk about.
And I think you hit the nail on the head that your younger generation, but everything I do is for my kids and their kids and their kids, and you want to break these stigmas that we've all been brought up with, and hopefully it will make a difference. So if that's our legacy, it's an absolute massive one. So we'll leave it there, boys. Thanks for coming back on. We had a few technical glitches the first time we tried this, but we've sorted it. It was Mark was causing us a few issues, but we got there, just like normal, isn't it? He's always causing issues.
That's what happens when the older generation come on with the new technology.
Things milk on his laptop and all sorts. So anyway, if you are a man out there and you are struggling and you want somewhere to go, then please reach out to Andy's Man Club. Drop us an email, info@andysmanclub.co.uk. There's the website, www.andysmanclub.co.uk. I'll put it all in the show notes as well. Please give us a like, a follow and a share. Because you never know, just by giving us a wee nudge on social media, it might reach out to the person that needs to hear it. And from me to the two of you, thanks for coming on. First official guest on I Am Giant. So we knew there would be teething problems, so we got there in the end, and hopefully this one's worked, boys, and we'll know how to come back on in a couple of hours. So we'll leave it there, sir, but thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate it.